The story of today's hockey game is that the Leafs just could not find the back of the net. They played a very sound game all around. Frederik Andersen, again, the last goal I don't like for him. He went down so early and had to sprawl across. It just was not a pretty looking effort from Frederik Andersen on that third goal. But the Leafs, you know what? This is a type of a game that you look at and you say, the better team did not win. And I'm not just saying this from a biased Leafs fan perspective. The reason I'm saying that, shots on goal were 34-29 in favor of the Leafs. That's not a sizable margin, but if you look at zone time and you look at, the quality of opportunities, the Leafs also hit 2 or 3 posts in the game today. I think the Leafs had most of the pressure on the St. Louis Blues today. They just capitalized on their opportunities, and the Leafs did not. As well as Jordan Binnington making quite a few sporadic, incredible saves, especially the shorthanded shot by Mikheyev there in the dying 5 minutes of the game. That goes in, we're tied, and we're right back in it again. And another one was Kerfoot set up. I think it was Kapanen for a one-timer. Binnington went right across, made a beautiful save, right? He doesn't make those saves, and they go through them. We're talking about a totally different hockey game. The better goaltender won the game today, but the better team did not, if you guys get my drift there. Let's talk about this game real quick. And Oscar Sundqvist scored the first goal of the game. Again, a goal of Frederik Andersen should have back. It was a slap shot. A guy coming down the right wing just steps into one. Barry couldn't get over there fast enough. Just a slap shot, no screen, no deflection by Tyson Barrie. Just went cleanly in past Frederik Andersen. Not a goal you want to give up if you're Freddie. That's just really not a goal you want to give up, especially short side under the glove. Not very pretty for Frederik Andersen on the first goal. But then the Leafs bang one home. Frederik Gauthier bangs in a puck, and it was a great job by Jason Spezza. Do you see the hand-eye coordination from the guy? Bats it back in front of the net, and Frederik Gauthier scores, tying the game at 1 apiece at the time. Now, people are going to freak out saying, why wasn't that high sticking? Why didn't they review it? Well, the rule is that if they bat the puck in the net, it has to be below the crossbar. But if they bat it to somebody else, like what happened with Spezza, it has to be below his shoulders, and it was. That's why we had a tied hockey game, and Nick Batan, the whole fourth line, had assists, had points on that tying goal, 1 apiece. And 24 seconds after that, an absolute gorgeous passing play from Janssen to Ceci to Nylander, who outweights Binnington, goes around him and pots it in the empty net, giving the Leafs a 2-1 lead. All the momentum swings in the Leafs' favor, and we're feeling fantastic. But as we talked about all last season, it's what happens in the first 5 minutes of a period and the final 5 minutes that either makes or breaks your team. And in the final minute of the second period, a little bit of a bouncing puck, it ends up right in the middle of the ice for Braden Shen, and he just claps one past Frederik Andersen, 5-hole. And at that time, thing to keep an eye on, people. 4 of the 6 goals up until the third goal that Frederik Andersen has given up, 5-hole. It's not very pretty. 5-hole goals are not fun, especially when that's the most goals you've given up. We kept hearing back in the day his high glove was a problem. They haven't scored you this year high glove, or high blocker even. And even low blocker, low glove was 1 goal apiece. And interesting to say, that 1 goal was the first goal of the hockey game. That tied the game with under a minute to play. And it killed the Leafs there. They go into the third period. Everything seems to be going okay. They may get some chances, kind of a back and forth type of period. With about 13 minutes to go, under that. A centering pass from David Perron to Alex Pietrangelo. Kapanen loses his man. And as I said off the top, Frederik Andersen, as the pass is going across, he's already down on his belly. He can't do anything. At that point, he's useless. And tries to sprawl, can't make the save, and Pietrangelo scores, giving the Blues the 3-2 lead. There were a few mistakes on that play. 1, Kapanen, he was getting his shoulder checks in. Problem. When Pietrangelo made his move, Kapanen wasn't there. And that's the issue. And Frederik Andersen, when the puck goes across like that, you don't want to go down like that. You got to slide across, post to post. You all learn that in goalie school and everything like that. You go post to post fast, post to post fast. He could have done that. I don't know if he slipped. I don't know what happened, because it kind of looked uncomfortable. I don't know if he slipped or not. Nonetheless, didn't look comfortable. They scored, and that was that. Gave them the 3-2 lead. Now, as the third period progressed, the Leafs pound on. They get a couple of great scoring opportunities. Marner in tight, backhands it up over the net. You kidding me? And as I said, short-handed. Mikheyev kind of tries to get it through to Kapanen. It gets blocked off and ends up getting to Kapanen, who kind of puts the pass through his legs to Mikheyev right in front. And what a save by Binnington in tight to make the pad save, sliding across. And Mikheyev is denied, keeping it a 3-2 game for the St. Louis Blues. And you just had that feeling with the empty net, a team who's been there, won a Stanley Cup now. They've been there, done that, and they shut the door the rest of the game. The Leafs, I always say that when even offensive zone face-off with the empty net in the dying 2 minutes, you got to find a way to win that draw. And I think it was about 39 seconds ago or something along those lines, John Tavares loses the draw to Ryan O'Reilly, puck gets out, and that was pretty much all she wrote at that point. You win the draw, you have the zone time, you might get a scoring opportunity, and who knows what happens. But, a collective effort. I didn't think the Leafs played I don't think they played awful. I just thought it was a few breakdowns, and Frederik Andersen just couldn't make the big save in the game today. I think that was just the difference maker in this one. You know what? It's game 4 of the season. The Leafs are now 2-1-1 on the year. The first regulation loss of the year is tonight against St. Louis. But you know what? It's 4 games in. Do you guys remember what happened to St. Louis last year? Dead last in the league. I think it was around New Year's or something like that. And they ended up winning the Stanley Cup. So yeah, I'm not saying the Leafs are going to be at that point because that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, 4 games in, we're 2-1-1. Don't start pulling your hair out. Don't start doubting. Don't start, thinking, oh God, here we go again. This team's garbage, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to think. It's nonsense. You play an 82-game schedule for a reason. You get into the playoffs, you try and win 16 before anybody else. That's the way it goes. Now, we lost game 4 of the season. It sucks the way it happened. You had the lead. You blew it late in the second, and then you gave up the tough goal in the third period by a couple breakdowns in that play. So yeah, it sucks. But you got to move on from it. All right, like I said, shots on goal were pretty good. Leafs couldn't score on the power play, though, 0 for 2. But the penalty kill did a pretty good job, 0 for 3, where the St. Louis Blues, excuse me, face-offs were identical, 28 apiece. Like I said, shots on goal, 34-30, in favor of the Leafs. Like Frederik Andersen, 3 goals on 30 shots. Again, not a great game, not an awful game. The Leafs just couldn't buy a goal in this one. It was a tough one. Nylander had a goal. He was a +1, and William Nylander is the only guy on the Toronto Maple Leafs that has 1 point in each of the first 4 games of the year. Anybody talking about him being moved and don't need him and him not being any good, and where are those people now? Probably cheering for him, right? Yeah, that's just the way it works. If you don't like him because of a situation, and he plays good, then you love him. I mean, you just love him. And if a situation happens, whatever, deal with it. I bought his jersey. I stuck by him, even though I got to switch the number somehow. I got to get it to Real Sports and get that number switched. He's been awesome this year. He was amazing tonight, was William Nylander. He had 4 shots on net, had a goal. I don't know how many takeaways he had. I don't know if they have that number here. But I thought he was awesome. I thought he was really, really good. Gauthier had the goal. Janssen, Ceci, Spezza, Patan all had assists in the game, and that's all she wrote. Look, the line of Tavares, Marner, and Kapanen didn't do anything. Matthews and Janssen didn't do a whole lot. So, yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't a great hockey game in a sense. You didn't score a lot, but in the end, you lost by 1 to the defending Stanley Cup champions. I know people are going to say, well, what about moral victories suck? I get that. They do. But when you're talking about a loss of game 4 of the season, are you really going to sit here, dwell, and cry about it? No. You're going to take the positives out of a loss and move on. You got to have a short memory if you're a sports fan and if you're a player. You got to have a short memory, all right? The next game for the Leafs, guys, is on Thursday as they welcome in the Tampa Bay Lightning to Scotiabank Arena. People keep talking about measuring stick games and blah, blah, blah. Well, St. Louis ideally was probably a measuring stick game. But this is a team that you're going to have to go through in the division to get to the Cup Finals and win a Stanley Cup. Period. The Tampa Bay Lightning come to Scotiabank Arena on Thursday at 7 o'clock. Vasilevsky and Anderson are the expected starters in that game. They don't play the day before, so they're not on a second night of a back-to-back. So, you know what, guys? It's a tough loss. It sucked. I really wish they scored this one, but it happens. I hate to say it. I already had my little rant to myself earlier. But in the end, it's one loss. You can win 8, you could lose 8-1 or you could lose 3-2 and right like this. It's one loss. You move on from it. All it takes is getting into the playoffs and then you go from there. All right? So Leaf fans, let's take a breath. All right? It was a pretty good hockey game to watch. Didn't end the way we wanted. You move on from it. Now we focus our attention to the Tampa Bay Lightning who come to town on Thursday. All right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys did not enjoy the outcome to today's hockey game, smack that like button to appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below your thoughts on the game. Who'd you like? Who'd you not like? What'd you think of Frederik Andersen there in the game today? I didn't think he was all that sharp. I want to hear your guys' takes on that and on everything to do, with the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right? Twitter is down below for myself. Follow up, send Medium, do all that great stuff. And now I'll talk to you guys Raptors edition in preseason game 1. That is tomorrow. Well, it's technically tomorrow morning is the game at 6 a.m. But I won't be doing the video until about 4:30. That'll be the time I'll be able to do the video for you guys for game 1 of the preseason for the Raptors against the Rockets. They're in Tokyo, Japan. And as for our Toronto Maple Leafs, as we've talked about, they take on the Tampa Bay Lightning, like we said, on Thursday, 7 o'clock puck drop. Andrei Vasilevsky, Frederik Andersen are the expected goaltenders in that game on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Talk to you guys then.